Shri Mahesh Jethmalani ji.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this most important and long overdue bill. So there are three reasons as to why this bill has been introduced and why it's a dire necessity. First of all, sir, it's part of our international obligations to the UN. So the UN passed the Convention on the Law of the Seas as far back as 1982, as the Honorable Minister pointed out, and we ratified it in 1995. So the time has come now, it's almost 27 years since our ratification, since we have a bill. So, A, the time is overdue. Secondly, sir, we need it for protection of a very vital segment of our population, for the protection of them, both concerned with maritime activity. So we have a very thriving merchant navy. Indian crews not only serve on Indian ships, but they also serve on the ships of many other countries. And so they are exposed to serious risk. These risks not only include capture by pirates, but our crews are then subjected to torture, to solitary confinement, and so as a result of this, they suffer from extreme post-traumatic stress. Apart from our merchant navy, we also have to protect, sir, our shipping industry. Because of piracy, the shipping industry faces soaring costs. First is rising insurance premiums. Second is employing private security personnel for onboard protection. And third, payment of ransom demands. So for all these reasons, we require a strong law which both deters and punishes piracy. It's also third reason, sir, why this is so important. And that is increasingly, India is now most likely to be a future victim of acts of piracy. So piracy used to be extremely prominent in the Malacca Straits. The countries who are affected by it, namely Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, these countries banded together, Malaysia, they banded together and they prevented it from happening in the Strait of Malacca. Then it went to the Gulf of Aden, where Somalian piracy became rampant. It was almost a monthly occurrence where you had piracy by the Somalian pirates. The Gulf states and some North African states got together. And so the problem in the Gulf of Aden has now declined. Now, sir, the threat is that piracy will move eastwards and southwards in the Indian Ocean, and therefore, sir, India is most prone to piracy, to pirate attacks. Particularly, sir, we should be mindful of the fact that we have isolated areas like the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are prone to piracy. Secondly, we have a very large exclusive economic zone, so, and there's a serious threat that pirates may combine with terrorists from Al-Qaeda and from ISIS to threaten the country. So, sir, there's a dire need for this legislation, and these are the three main reasons. International obligations, our shipping industry and our merchant navy, and the possible threat from pirates in the Indian Ocean coming closer and closer to our exclusive economic zone. Now, sir, just a word on the bill. So I have absolutely no doubt that this bill has been extremely well drafted. The punishment section, sir, as far as the imprisonment is concerned, the death sentence is not mandatory. The death sentence is optional. So depending on the gravity of the crime, supposing pirates board a ship and rape and murder women, then certainly there will be a death sentence. They are liable for a death sentence. So, sir, the death sentence provision is necessary. It will be used frequently in the rarest of rare cases, but it must be on the statute books. Then, sir, Section 9 is important because many of our previous prosecutions were failing on the ground that the Indian courts had no jurisdiction. Now, sir, as per Section 9, any person who is apprehended by or is in the custody of the Indian Navy or the Indian Coast Guard can be triable in India. So, sir, now jurisdiction has been extended to any person who commits an act of piracy anywhere in the world but is arrested by the Indian Navy. So, jurisdiction is increased, the sentence is all right. I have only two queries which the Honorable Minister may kindly have a look at. So, first is the definition section, which I think my honorable friend Mr. Tanka pointed out, that if this is an anti-maritime piracy bill, then why bring in an aircraft into 21F? Unless, sir, I've been trying to conceive of a situation, and the only situation I can conceive of is where an aircraft is brought down and still floats on the ocean and then is subject to piracy. Alternatively, we are talking about seaplanes. These are the only two conceivable situations as to why the definition section includes aircraft in what is really an anti-maritime piracy bill. And so, secondly, the last point, please see Section 3. Whoever commits any act of piracy. So, Section 3 punishes anybody who commits an act of piracy. That's fair enough. Sentence is prescribed. But let's see Section 5 now, sir. Whoever participates or organizes or directs other persons to participate in an act of piracy. Now, sir, whoever participates in an act of piracy also commits an act of piracy within the meaning of Section 3. So, Section 5 is redundant. Secondly, sir, somebody who organizes or directs other persons to participate in an act of piracy is probably a worse offender than somebody who commits an act of piracy because he is the mastermind. So, sir, Section 5 needs a relook at, a revisit, and I respectfully submit that Section 5 ought to be done away altogether. Otherwise, it will create acute confusion in the mind of both the investigator and the prosecutor of the offences under this Act. So I strongly recommend this bill, sir, and I heartily congratulate the Honourable External Affairs Minister for introducing this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.